Hello and welcome again to the V side of life, Vetros Media. Things are hotting up in the country as we gear towards the 2023 elections. Atiku, Obi, slam federal government. Shettima sells Tinubu's candidacy. Presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party Atiku Abubakar and the Labour Party Peter Obi on Monday flayed the federal government over the insecurity and economic crisis confronting the nation, stating that Nigeria possessed all the negative indices that qualified it as a failed state. The two candidates unanimously agreed that 2023 is Nigeria's decisive year, noting that the election is critical to the country's existence. Atiku and Obi spoke at the ongoing 62nd Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association in Lagos. Also at the event was the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Kashim Shettima, who represented his principal, Bola Tinubu. He urged the Nigerians to vote for their joint ticket because of their achievements as governors in Lagos and Borno states. Governors Solomon Lalong and Godwin Obaseki of Plateau and Edo states respectively equally attended the conference. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, Governor of Lagos State Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and a popular author Chimamanda Adichie and other speakers advocated the reform of the Nigerian judiciary in order to position the country on the path of transformational change. In his remarks, Atiku observed that the country is more disunited today than it had ever been since democracy took root in 1999, noting that Nigeria had never found itself in such a very critical situation in its history. Speaking on the theme, Bold Transitions in the 21st Century as far as our country is concerned, he submitted that Nigeria had all the negative indices, adding that the nation had never experienced the current level of poverty, insecurity, and unemployment. He stated, since the return of democracy in 1998 and 1999, Nigeria has never found itself in such a very critical point in our history. Today, we have had all the negative indices. Today, we are all disunited in the nation. We have never experienced this level of poverty. We have never experienced this state of insecurity. We have never experienced this level of unemployment. We have recognized all these negative developments in our history. He added that the important thing was to tackle the challenges. This is where history and experience beckon to us that we don't get it wrong at this point in time. If we get it wrong, I don't know when we will get it right, he noted. An online newspaper, The Cable, reported that ex-vice president revealed that he would hand over the federal universities to states if he was elected president. According to the report, Atiku said his administration's reform would involve creating an enabling environment for foreign and local investors. The reforms, he further explained, would include healthcare and education because the government alone cannot bring about development. He stated, one of the fundamental reforms I have in my policy document is to encourage the private sector as far as the development of the country is concerned, both foreign and local. It is very essential because the federal government does not have the resources to do all the things that they want to do, he said. Shedding more light on his plans, he stated, the only way is to make sure that a conducive environment is available for the local and foreign investors to participate in the development of our country, whether it is infrastructure, education, and healthcare. I had an argument with a university professor from a federal university, Lokoja. He said he read in my policy document that I intend to devolve, in other words, to return education to the states. How dare I do that? I said, Mr. Professor, do you realize that the first set of our universities belong to the regional governments? He said, yes. I said, who are the successors of the regional governments? He said, the states. I said, the children you send to America or England, who owns those universities? Mostly the private sector. So why is it that you think we cannot do it here? We don't have the money. Atiku posted on his Twitter page on Monday that he was at the NBA conference to give lawyers insights into his bold policy, which he said embodies unity, security, economy, education, and devolution of power to states and local governments. The Labour Party presidential candidate Obi in his remarks said the election will not be about tribe, religion, connection, entitlement, but it must be about competence, capacity, and commitment to deliver. Obi said Nigeria needs urgent transition from being a highly insecure country to a secured one and from a disunited country to a united one. He added, Nigeria has qualified to be a failed state. We have the 2 or 3 biggest characteristics of a failed state. One is when you are no longer in charge of your territory. Today, we are among the top terrorized countries in the world. We are among the top kidnapping countries in the world. Banditry has taken over part of the country and Nigerians are being killed. He called on Nigerians to elect the candidate with the capacity to rescue the nation from its current mess. Nigeria is in a mess. We got here simply because of the accumulative effects of bad leadership. The coming election is not about tribe or religion, but about character and competence. We need a bold transition from a highly insecure state to a highly secured state, he noted. The APC running mate Shettima pointed out that his principal would replicate at the federal level the feats he recorded in Lagos when he was the governor. Shettima said they would hit the ground running if elected into office in 2023. In a speech entitled Democratic Transitions in the 21st Century Nigeria, 2023 and beyond, the APC vice presidential candidate stressed that Tinubu is the man to beat because of his skill set. I aligned with the APC candidate because of his competence and performance, he affirmed. The vice presidential candidate said as governor of Borno State, he facilitated the construction of the best schools in the country. Nigerians have the capability to see through the worn-out rhetoric and sophistry of pretentious politicians, he said in a veiled attack on his opponents. Nigerians should follow the man wey no road. From day one, we will hit the ground running. We will promptly address the issue of economy, ecology, and security. And we have the antecedents. I built some of the best schools in Nigeria. Go to Borno and see wonders. You will never believe that it is a state in a state of war. So, we are going to replicate our achievements in Lagos, in Borno, and some of the frontline states so that our nation will be a better place. Shettima asked the NBA delegates to make an informed decision in changing the narrative of leadership in the 2023 general elections, saying his principal is the man to beat. He urged lawyers to choose a leader that has established records, stating that he had mentored men and women. The guest speaker at the conference, Adichie, in a keynote address, said the country was in disarray and needed heroes to save it. She said, Nigeria is in disarray. Things are hard and getting harder by the day. We can't be safe when there is no rule of law. Nigerians are starved of heroes to look up to. Late Dora Akunyili and Gani Fawahimi were heroes that Nigerians looked up to before now. Unfortunately, that era has gone. I believe that the NBA is in a position to give the nation heroes that we can look up to lead the nation. Stressing the imperative of justice, the author of Half of a Yellow Sun and other books further said, as long as we refuse to untangle the knot of injustice, peace cannot thrive. If we don't talk about it, we fail to hold leaders accountable, and we turn what should be transparent systems into ugly, opaque cults. She submitted that many people who have abused their positions in Nigeria would regard the NBA as troublesome. Adichie called for an incorruptible judicial system and advised the NBA to leverage technology in the judicial process and the administration of justice in the country. As the NBA continues to fight the abuse of power, it must also look inward not to be corrupted, the award-winning author admonished. The presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Adewale Adebayo, lamented that the country's crude oil was being stolen by the government. Adebayo advised the conference participants to be suspicious of every statistics being given. The presidential candidate of the African Democratic Party and the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Mr. Dumebi Kashiku, and retired Justice Peter Umiadi also spoke at the conference. Earlier, Justice Ariwola, who was represented by the Chief Judge of Lagos State, Justice Kazeem Alogba, said the bar and the bench must return to the days when the ethics of the legal profession was upheld and enforced. He said that the justice sector is very important to the survival of Nigeria, so all stakeholders must ensure that it is protected and improved upon so it can continue to provide hope for the masses. Also speaking at the conference, which was over 13,000 delegates in attendance, Sanwo-Olu said the state's judicial system had upheld the legacies of the past administration in the improvement of the legal practice. The governor, who was represented by the state's attorney general, Moyosore Onigbanjo, stated, "We have continually transformed our structures, building new courtrooms, renovating existing ones to create a more conducive environment for our judges and to efficiently administer justice. I can boldly say that no state takes the funding of the judiciary as seriously as Lagos State, and this is a legacy that has been sustained by successive administrations since 1999, he said. The NBA president, Mr. Olumide Akpata, in his welcome address, said it was the greatest privilege of his life to have piloted the association. Meanwhile, efforts to get reactions from the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Felix Moka, to Atiku and Obi's statement failed as he did not respond to calls, but the Director General of Asiwaju Tinubu Shettima Coalition for Good Governance, Adebayo Shitu, expressed optimism that their allegations won't prevent his principal from winning the 2023 presidential election. He stated, "If we have to go by the past records, were they not the ones who laid the foundation for where we are today? Were they not a precursor to it? If not true, let them tell us why the PDP was kicked out from power in 2015. There is no way they can rationalize the situation. The only thing Obi and Atiku are saying is because they are in a desperate situation. Obviously, when you look at their political credentials, what can we say Atiku has going for him in terms of past records that can recommend him for the office he is vying for? The only recommendation he got from his former boss Obasanjo, who swore that Atiku cannot be trusted because he is a kleptomaniac politically and financially. Is it not on record? Even in a recent video, a former governor of Ondo State, Olabode George, was pleading that Atiku is no longer a thief and won't steal again. We all heard him clearly. Is that the person we can recommend for president? Obi, on the other hand, is yet to address the accusation by his people in Anambra that he put the state's money into his family business. The president's senior special assistant on media and publicity, Gaba Shehu, did not respond to calls made to his mobile line. In a related development, some Nigerians criticized Atiku over his plans to hand over federal universities to states. A Facebook user, Olabisi Kolawole, said, "The proprietor of the most expensive university is simply telling us that universities is not meant for children of the masses, but for the rich alone." Another Facebook user, Alabi Olayiwola, said, "Even though I don't like Atiku to be president, he is right that federal government shouldn't be running universities, but handing it over to the state will create another problem in the sector." Chukwuemeka Oge stated, "Many of the states can't even pay minimum wage to teachers. Many states are handing over teaching hospitals to federal government because they cannot fund them. How do you then run to who is running to you?" Thanks for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, or you're new to the channel. Like and comment as well. Have a lovely day. Bye.